Welcome back to UNX Fast Forward. I'm Ethan Swanson.
And I'm Christy Ganji. And tomorrow we have our last open qualifier for our last round to get into our last major.
And it's the last chance to get into the majors, and for a lot of these athletes, the last chance to get to the championship potentially.
Yeah, definitely a lot on the line for this competition. Some athletes are on the bubble, and they need to get to this major to get some points to get into the championship.
That's right. So we're looking for 3 men and 3 women to add to our list of amazing athletes that have already made their way to major number 3. And like we talked about so much this season, only 8 spots on the men's side, 8 spots on the women's side to get to the championship.
And the best part, we have a stacked group of athletes competing in this competition, and a course put together by Caleb Bergstrom, Baby Bergie himself.
Baby Bergie! I mean, this is going to be a really tough course. Just knowing him, he's so strong. And him and his dad, Jason Bergstrom, they make some crazy unique obstacles at Jungle Gym. I'm super excited. But let's get into the field of who's competing, and especially on the women's side, it is going to be hard to pick our top 3. I'm starting with Elena Borges, sitting in 3rd place on the UNX season, and she hasn't qualified yet. She's hungry.
Yeah, she needs to qualify, but also Ashley McConville. She's down home gym along with Caitlin Bergstrom, home gym advantage.
Yep.
And so, those two are going to be very tough to beat. But then Ava Colasanti traveling down from Jersey to compete in this.
Right, just came off of a mistake in her Real Life Ninja Academy run. Seeing her just touch her hands on that monster jump. But she's amazing. She's such a good athlete. We saw her take 1st place at center court. It's going to be tough to beat her. I mean, in addition to those, we have Jamie Ross competing A&W veteran, Charity LeBlanc competing A&W veteran. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome to watch on the women's side, especially Elena Borges not in the 3rd major, and I mean, she's sitting in 3rd in a good spot, but you don't want to leave it up to chance. She wants to get back.
Right, definitely the case. And on the men's side, it's even more stacked. This might even be more stacked than St. Louis was at Ultimate Ninjas, which is crazy to say, but look at the field of competitors. Starting off, Drew Dreschel. I mean, if I listed off all his accolades, we'd be here for 10 minutes. It's Drew Dreschel.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue against Drew Dreschel, but then, you got Drew Dreschel, you got Caden Lebsack, and he's been dominating UNX lately.
He's adding to his wins. Just took 1st place at Ultimate Ninjas against a crazy field on an insane course with only 2 finishers, him and Michael Torres. And so he's competing here, already qualified.
But then our 1st place athlete on the UNX season, Jake Murray, is going to be here. 1st place on the season, and he's not guaranteed for the 3rd major, so he needs to get in.
Right, that's exactly right, and I'm hoping that he's going to do so at this competition. But in addition to those guys, we have Sam Folsom sitting in 10th place in the UNX season. Hunter Gerard sitting in 12th place in the UNX season. These 2 guys, they're right outside of that top 8 bubble. They have to make it back to the major if they want to secure a spot to the championship.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be so epic to watch. And then you got Thomas Stillings, Nick Fortney, guys who haven't been to a major yet. They're hungry.
So close, though.
They've been close, and they're hungry. They want to get in.
Yeah, they've been on the cusp of qualifying, just trying to put together that perfect run. We saw Nick Fortney miss out by 2 seconds, finishing the course in St. Louis, 2 seconds over the time limit and just timing out. In addition to that, we have Max Feinberg, already qualified. One of the younger athletes, he qualified at Movement Lab.
Can't wait to see him run.
Yeah, and for him, it's getting that a little bit more experience at a high level with a crazy stacked field and, kind of sharpening his knives a little bit before the major.
Yeah, and then, I mean, talk about Connor Galvin coming off of a couple disappointing performances, a slip last week, and, he's coming down here. He wants a spot.
He's so good. It's been, I think, a little disappointing for him in the next season. I feel like he's been making little strategy or mental errors, and if that stuff goes away, he's a qualifying athlete.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, the same could be said, Luke Dillon coming off of last week. He just missed out.
No.
And he was so strong last week.
I know. Missed out by 1 spot. Almost made the dismount on flight risk. Would have been the 3rd athlete to do so if he had done it and just kind of went off to the side. But in addition, we have David Wright, Jackson Twait, Anthony DeFranco, Joe Capo, Todd Bourgeois. The list is insane. And there's athletes that we're not even mentioning here that are definitely worthy of a qualifying spot.
Absolutely. And so it is going to be very difficult for us to put these athlete predictions together. We're never really right on these, but this one I have a feeling is going to be pretty far off.
I will say I'm glad I'm not competing because it is going to be cutthroat out there, but let's get right into our athlete predictions, starting with our women's predictions.
So I'm going to start us off on the women's side. In third place, I'm going to go with Ava Colasanti. We saw her at center court take first place among a stacked group of athletes, and she did so by getting to the Ninja Killer obstacle faster than anybody. And so I think for this competition, she's going to put together a fast course run, and she puts herself into third place and into the third major. In second place, I'm going to go with Elena Borges, sitting in third place on our season. Such a proven athlete. I think when we saw her at Ultimate Ninja St. Louis, she just made a tiny mistake, and honestly, I think she's going to correct that, and she dials it in and shows us why she's in third place and takes another qualifying spot. In first place, I'm going to go with Ashley McConville. Home gym advantage here, and I think Ashley's upper body strength is going to play well to a course that Caleb Bergstrom puts together. I think Caleb has so much upper body endurance, he's really going to test these athletes on that, and I think that plays to Ashley McConville's strengths.
And for my picks on the women's side of the competition, I'm going third place, Caitlin Bergstrom. You know, we haven't seen her put together that perfect run yet, but I think this is where she does it. She's comfortable, she's at home, and she's a great athlete. I think she's taking that third qualifying spot. Second place, I'm going with Ava Colasanti. You know, she took first place at center court, and she's an amazing competitor, young competitor. I think she underperformed a little bit at Real Life Ninja Academy, but that doesn't happen very often for Ava. I think she's taking that second place spot. In first place, I have to go with Ashley McConville. Not only home gym advantage, all those other advantages from just being at her gym that she's comfortable with, but it's Ashley McConville. She's a strong force, and as long as she gets through, I think, you know, the first half of the course, some agility obstacles, stuff like that, she breaks into the upper body stuff, she's going to be a lot more efficient, a lot more confident, a lot more powerful than any of the other women here, and she's going to be taking that first place spot.
Well, I mean, Ashley McConville in first place is hard to argue, especially with a little bit of that home gym advantage. And in my opinion, Caleb Bergstrom's going to put together an upper body intensive course that I think that style favors Ashley.
I think so too. And Ashley, she's had a little bit of trouble on some balance and agility obstacles, but once she gets past that stuff, I mean, the stuff she can do upper body wise when it gets into the back half of courses, I think really separates her from the rest of the competition. So as long as I think she gets past the beginning half of the course, I think she's going to be doing some special things.
Well, I got to call you out a little bit here. No Elena Borges in your top three.
You know, Elena, she's not qualified, and I think that she's going to be in the championship regardless if she makes the major. But we saw her, make a mistake that I wouldn't have expected from her in St. Louis. I think the competition is fierce here, and I think she's going to be right outside of a qualifying spot.
Well, I've been so impressed with the way that Elena competes. I think that one mistake is such an anomaly, and I 100% think she's going to be in the top three. No doubt in my mind, Elena's going to be in the top three.
We will find out soon, but you don't have Caitlin in your top three.
I know, and I like the home gym advantage, that she's got here, but at the same time, I think Caitlin's another one of those athletes that just has not lived up to her potential yet. I think if Caitlin puts together the right run, she'll nail it. But at the same time, she hasn't done it yet, and I don't know, like you said, the competition is fierce, and I just don't see her in the top three.
Well, we're going to find out tomorrow. It's been so tough to pick these picks, but on the men's side, it gets even tougher. So let's jump into our men's predictions. My third place pick is got to be Jake Murray. He's my boy, and he's sitting in first place in the UNX season. He's consistently proven that he's a top athlete. He took second place at the first UNX major, only to Daniel Gill, one of the best in the game. And I think he hasn't qualified yet for the third major. This is where he takes the third place spot and makes his qualifying run for that last major. Second place, I have to go with Caden Lebsack. He has been on an absolute tear. He started in the second round of qualifiers UNX and slowly becoming more and more dominant to the first place finish at Ultimate Ninjas in St. Louis. I think it's no joke when you watch him run the course that you're watching something special, and he's only 14 years old. Doesn't matter. Second place. First place, you have to go with Drew Drexel. Anytime he steps foot on a course, you know you're going to see something special. I don't even have to bring up all his accolades. He's got millions of them. Drew is going to be taking that first place spot. He's already qualified for the major, and he's going to show us something special on the course.
In third place, I got to go with my boy, Sam Folsom. I think his run at Ultimate Ninja St. Louis was so disappointing, just a tiny foot slip, that I think he comes back here to Jungle Gym and he puts together an amazing run and punches his third consecutive trip to the major. And he's sitting in 10th place on the season. He needs to get back if he wants a shot at the championship, and I think that motivation puts him over the top and into a qualifying spot. In second, I'm going to go with Caden Lebsack. This kid has been dominating UNX competitions over the last couple weeks. First place at Ultimate Ninja St. Louis, second place at the Major. It's so hard to argue with his grip strength, and on a Caleb Bergstrom course, I just think it plays so much to his strengths. But then in first place, I gotta go with Drew Dreschel. His resume goes on, and we've seen him. He's so technical, and he's so smart when he attacks the courses that I don't see anybody beating him in this competition.
I mean, but we both have Drew and Caden in our number 1, number 2 spots, but how do you go against them?
I mean, you don't. That's why we both have them in our top 2. Drew's so proven, and there's no way you're picking against Drew. And Caden, a little surprising to pick such a young athlete in this spot, but he's proven himself time and time again.
And it's important to point out he didn't start competing at UNX until the second round of qualifiers, and what he's done since then has been amazing, that he's proved himself that much. And we're talking second place at the second major in a crazy stacked field of athletes. That's unreal.
I mean, after his center court qualifier, where he just missed out on qualifying, the kid stepped it into high gear, and he has not looked back.
And you know what? He took 4th place in that qualifier in another stacked field, and he was in like the first 5 runners. And he took 4th place. You know what I mean? So a little bit of run order determining that, it's tough to see. But since then, you're right. He's been on an absolute tear. And, I mean, that's what we have in there. I mean, then it gets a little tricky. I got Jake Murray. I mean, he's my boy. He's sitting in first place in the UNX season, and he's not qualified yet for the 3rd major. I feel like this is where he puts it together and gets back.
Yeah, I mean, Jake Murray, it's hard to argue against, but at the same time, I'm going with my boy, Sam Folsom. No surprise for me. I love this kid, love the way he competes. I thought his Ultimate Ninja St. Louis run was a huge disappointment, and just so much left on the course there that he didn't get to show. And I think he comes in and he's angry and he hits that buzzer, finishes in 3rd place.
Yeah, well, it's so tough. And I know that the interesting thing is Drew and Caden are both already qualified, so we're not even mentioning some of the other athletes that are going to be taking qualifying spots. It's going to be very, very interesting. It's
going to get really, really interesting. And Max Feinberg, an athlete who's already qualified, that's an athlete that I cannot wait to watch. Not in my predictions because I don't think I've seen enough of him because I've only really seen him compete at that LA qualifier.
Mm-hmm. If I'm tossing a dark horse out there, I got to say Hunter Girard. And not necessarily a huge dark horse.
Wait a second.
Well, you're looking at Drew Dreschel.
How dark of a horse is Hunter Girard? I'm going to throw a dark horse at you guys. Hunter Girard.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm just saying it. Dude, he's in 12th place in the UNX season. This is so pivotal for him. If he gets back, I think he's in the championship. If he makes it to the Major 3, I think he's in the championship. No questions.
I mean, that's a bold statement, but
it's a bold statement.
I don't know that that's a dark horse pick right there. I think everyone at home is going to agree with you and say, oh yeah, Hunter Girard, he's probably going to take a qualifying spot.
But are they going to agree with me over Drew Dreschel, Caden, or Jake?
But they're already qualified.
Right. That's true. That's a great point you made there. But we do have a sneak peek of one of the runs from tomorrow at Jungle Gym. You're going to see all the action. But right now we have Drew Dreschel, a sneak peek of his run. Let's check it out.
To the brown box, stay on it. Good, clear, nice job. Clear. Good. To the green box, stay on it. Good. Clear. Beautiful. Clear.
Come on, Drew, you got this.
I mean, we're seeing Drew on a course. This is what we expected. He's making it look so easy, but that last obstacle, though.
That last obstacle is diabolical. I mean, you're grabbing cliffhanger ledges. It's dropping on you. There's so much going on there.
Well, and it is not that easy. Drew's making it look easy, but let's get one thing straight. He is a perfectionist when it comes to strategy, and this is a tough course. I don't think anybody's going to look that smooth out there.
I mean, yeah, I think this is an awesome course put together by Caleb, but that's going to be tomorrow. Make sure you guys tune in. And, you know, last week, I won the athlete prediction, so I think it's a little time for a little punishment right now.
I'm Ethan Swanson. I'll see you guys later.
Ethan, why don't you go ahead and just give me a handstand on that pit pillow while I close out the show. Do a nice little handstand on that uneven surface, nice and light. So tomorrow is going to be the Jungle Gym qualifier for UNX. It's going to be awesome. Caleb Bergstrom putting together an awesome course. Get back in that handstand. And yeah, no, I'm really excited. There's a 3-minute, 15-second time limit. It's going to be awesome. So make sure you guys check it out. And until then, I'm Chris DeGangi, and we'll see you guys next time.